My name is Jake, and I've been guiding tourists through the pyramids of Giza for 12 years now. Most people think it's just another job, showing visitors around ancient stones and telling the same stories day after day. But they don't understand what this place really is, or why someone like me chooses to spend every sunrise and sunset in the shadow of these monuments. I inherited this work from my grandfather, Ahmed, who guided travelers here for 40 years before me. He was Egyptian, born and raised, but he married my grandmother, Sarah, when she was studying archaeology in Cairo back in the 70s. Their love story brought two worlds together and eventually brought me to this place where I was meant to be. The pyramids are different at dawn. The tour buses haven't arrived yet, and the desert air is still cool from the night. This is when I do my real work, not the tourist presentations, but the deeper watching that my grandfather taught me. Because these ancient structures hold more than just pharaohs and treasures. They hold responsibilities that have been passed down through generations of guides. Every morning, I walk the perimeter with my companion, Rex. He's a German shepherd mix I found as a puppy near the base of the Great Pyramid 3 years ago. Most people assume he's just a pet, but Rex sees things that human eyes miss. He knows which areas of the complex feel different on any given day, which passages whisper with unusual energy, and most importantly, which visitors carry intentions that go beyond simple curiosity. The tourists start arriving around 9, and that's when my public role begins. I tell them about Khufu and Khafre, about the alignment with Orion, about the precision of the construction that still baffles engineers today. I watch their faces light up with wonder, and I remember why I love this work. But I also watch for other things. Today brings the usual mix of families, history students, and adventure seekers. But there's one man who catches my attention immediately. He's traveling alone, carrying a leather satchel that he guards carefully, and his eyes don't hold the typical tourist's amazement. Instead, there's something calculating in his gaze as he studies the entrance to the Great Pyramid. His name is Marcus, and he approaches me after my general presentation to the group. He speaks with an educated accent, possibly British, and claims to be researching ancient Egyptian burial practices for a university. But there's something in the way he phrases his questions that sets Rex on edge. My dog stays close to my side, alert and watchful. I'm particularly interested in the lesser chambers, Marcus says, adjusting his grip on the satchel. The ones that aren't typically included in public tours. I've heard this request before, though rarely with such intensity behind it. The pyramid is fully mapped, I reply carefully. What you see on the tour is what there is to see. Surely, someone with your experience knows that's not entirely true, he presses. There are always secrets, aren't there? Passages that require special permission to access. Rex growls softly, and I place a calming hand on his head. My grandfather taught me that the pyramids themselves will warn you about certain visitors. The ancient builders left more than just stone barriers to protect what lies within. They left a kind of spiritual early warning system, and animals like Rex are naturally attuned to it. I'm sorry, but I can only show you what's open to the public, I tell Marcus firmly. His expression shifts slightly, revealing frustration beneath his polite exterior. Perhaps we could discuss this privately. I'm willing to compensate you well. for your time and expertise. The afternoon sun beats down on us as I consider how to handle this situation. Marcus represents a type of visitor my grandfather warned me about. People who come to the pyramids not with respect for their history, but with plans to take something that doesn't belong to them. Over the centuries, countless artifacts have been stolen from Egypt, sold to private collectors or museums in distant countries. My role as a guide includes protecting against this kind of exploitation. Why don't you join me for tea after the tour concludes? I suggest. We can talk more about Egyptian history in general. He agrees, though I can see he's not entirely satisfied with my response. As the day progresses, I keep Marcus in my peripheral vision while leading the group through the standard tour route. He takes photos constantly, but not the kind tourists usually take. His images focus on structural details, measurements, and angles that suggest he's mapping the interior spaces. Rex remains agitated whenever Marcus comes too close. When the official tours ends and most visitors return to their buses, Marcus lingers as planned. We sit in the shade of a small tea stand run by my friend Omar, who has worked at Ghiza almost as long as my grandfather did. Omar nods at me knowingly. He too recognizes the type of visitor Marcus represents. So, Marcus begins, once we're seated, about those restricted areas I mentioned. Before we continue, I interrupt gently. Can you tell me what you're really looking for? He hesitates, then reaches into his satchel and pulls out what appears to be part of an ancient papyrus. I believe there's a specific artifact chamber that isn't documented in any modern survey. This fragment suggests its location. My blood runs cold as I recognize what he's holding. It's a piece of a burial scroll, something that should be in a museum, not in the hands of a private collector. The hieroglyphs are authentic, ancient, and almost certainly stolen from an archaeological site. Where did you get this? I ask. That's not important. What matters is that it points to something significant, hidden within the Great Pyramid. Something that could change our understanding of ancient Egyptian burial practices. And something that could be sold for a fortune, I add quietly. Marcus's mask finally drops. Look, I know you people have been guarding these sites for generations, but the world deserves to know what's hidden here. Knowledge shouldn't be buried with dead kings. I stand slowly, Rex immediately moving to my side. You're right that knowledge shouldn't be buried, but it also shouldn't be stolen and sold to the highest bidder. I'm offering to share whatever we find with the academic community, he protests. After you've taken photographs for your private clients, I assume, the golden light of late afternoon bathes the pyramids as I make my decision. This is exactly the kind of situation my grandfather prepared me for. Moments when the role of guide becomes the role of guardian. The papyrus you're carrying was stolen, I tell him directly. And the chamber you're looking for doesn't exist in the way you think it does. My family has been protecting these sites for generations, and we know every stone, every passage, every secret they contain. Marcus stands as well, his hand moving protectively over his satchel. You can't stop academic research. This isn't research, it's treasure hunting. I signal to Omar, who quietly approaches with two other men I recognize as site security. But I can offer you something better than whatever scheme brought you here. I reach into my own bag and pull out a business card. Dr. Hassan runs the legitimate archaeological program at Cairo University. If you're genuinely interested in Egyptian history, he can connect you with real research opportunities, ones that don't involve stealing from the dead. Marcus looks around, realizing his position has changed considerably. Rex keeps his eyes fixed on the satchel, ready to act if needed. The pyramids have been here for 4,500 years, I continue. They've survived tomb robbers, foreign armies, and countless treasure hunters. What makes them remarkable isn't what you can take from them, but what they can teach you if you approach them with respect. After a long moment, Marcus's shoulders slump in defeat. He hands me the papyrus fragment. I suppose you'll want to return this to wherever it belongs. That's exactly what I'll do. As Marcus walks away toward the parking area, Omar pats my shoulder approvingly. Your grandfather would be proud, he says in Arabic. The sun is setting now, painting the pyramids in shades of gold and orange that no photograph can truly capture. Rex settles beside me as I watch the last tour groups disappear into the distance. Tomorrow will bring new visitors, new questions, and probably new challenges to navigate. But tonight, the pyramids stand as they always have, ancient, mysterious, and protected by those who understand that some things are more valuable when they remain where they belong. My grandfather taught me that being a guide means more than just showing people around. Sometimes it means helping them find their way to understanding instead of possession. I fold the recovered papyrus carefully and make a mental note to contact Dr. Hassan in the morning. Another piece of Egypt's history will return home where it belongs.